Hey guys, welcome to Behind the Scenes for the ultimate birthday present. I'll explain as you watch me start drawing Madoka Magica. For my birthday, my friend wrote me a fan fiction. He's a really good author and it was cringe but solid for a fan fiction, and his cousin claimed it was worth 5 whole years of gifts. So I have to beat him now. Not physically, but I have to beat him in that aspect. I have to go higher than 5 years. But since he's good at writing, I'm gonna do what I'm good at. Art. So here begins the making of the diorama, which if you've seen the YouTube short, you'll know what the product will look like at the end. So I wanted to do 3 anime that we've both watched for the 2 sides and the middle piece. So I started with Madoka Magica for one of the sides. I wanted to do my own thing, so I decided to do Mommy's Death. As you'll see later, I use real-life objects to make it seem like she's in the labyrinth, as that's the art style Madoka has. It's kind of realistic and using real-life items. So as you can see, I simply start with the sketching. Here I begin to color it in, however I only use the color yellow and like a couple others, but not much, because magical girls are defined by their color a lot of the time. I figured it would be better to focus on one main color only for most of it. I began applying the normal items to make it seem like a labyrinth has opened. As you'll soon see, I add a fake rose, cotton balls, and even pieces of ribbon. Then I cut her out to add her to the piece and finishing touches. I love Madoka Magica. This next part is Steins Gate, another gem of a show. This will also be one of the other sides of the diorama. Now with this one, I didn't record the coloring because the setup I did for Madoka was complicated and I realized storage would be a pain. But I did record the sketching and I have pictures/video of it already colored. If you remember or have seen my 5-year-old video of my 15 subscriber special, I used a similar setup that I'm using now, except the camera quality was worse because I didn't have a phone then. I was using a Amazon Fire tablet. But I figured the sketch would be proof enough that I made this without any tracing or copying. I had a reference, obviously. I mean, I can't do it without a reference. You should totally play or watch Steins Gate. It is such a good show. Really good story, full of angst, of course. Okabe is drawn in his famous pose wearing his lab coat, but he is also wearing some of his Steins Gate Zero outfit. I wanted to combine both of them because I loved Steins Gate and Steins Gate Zero. I added Mayuri and Kurisu as squares on the piece under the world line they stay alive in. I think it makes this section very nice, and the only thing that gave me trouble was the dreaded hands, but hands give everyone trouble. Lastly, the middle part, the best part, is going to be ReZero. My friend glazes this show like a donut getting glazed. I'm sorry, but he really does glaze this show. It is not a Gooner show, give it a watch. Although, I wouldn't call it my favorite, but it also hasn't ended yet. The scene I picked isn't even in the show yet, as of making this video. I'm pretty sure it's coming out season 4. It's the famous stair scene that if you've seen ReZero, you've probably stumbled across it before. The major character arc Subaru gets from scaling those stairs. I have no idea what goes on in this scene, but he's obsessed with it. And do I know what it looks like? Yeah, I do. So I'm gonna cook it. I did try to make origami stairs, but ultimately failed, so I made a horrible looking 3D stairs, but it actually turned out better than I thought. I was afraid the entire thing would collapse in on itself. Sadly, it took me a while to get the paper to stand up, both sides, so I didn't record that, but I did attach the two sides on, and it finally stays up after using 1 billion pieces of tape. But luckily, the tape does not ruin the piece. At least in my opinion. It makes me want to make another one eventually. Maybe for myself, or another birthday. Thanks for watching the behind the scenes though, and stay tuned. Subscribe for more occasional, once in a lifetime silly art projects.